Hello, I'm Amy Schenk, the Community Engagement Lead at the Neuropsychiatric Research Center of Southwest Florida. Welcome to Love Your Beautiful Brain here on Lee Pitts Live. Today we're going to be talking about all of the things that your brain does. The brain is the most complex organ in our body. Did you know that our brain is 3 pounds of amazing? Here are some of the fun facts about our brains. 60% of our brains are made up of fat. And our brains don't fully develop until we're 25 years old. So if you're wondering why your teenager or your young adult does some of those silly things, well, their brain's not fully formed. Our brains also contain 86 billion, and that's billion with a B, nerve cells, or actually brain cells that are called neurons. And these neurons form connections with each other. There are chemicals in the brain that allow the neurons to communicate. It's almost like they talk to each other. In addition, the speed with which the neurons communicate is a super fast 268 miles per hour. I mean, that's pretty fast. And the power that's generated by the brain, well, it's actually enough power to light up a 23-watt light bulb. So it's important that we know the things to do to keep our brain healthy. But that's just a little tease because we're going to be talking about that next time. The brain communicates with the rest of our body through the spinal cord. And what it does is it interprets the information that we get from all of our senses. It's in charge of our feelings, our thoughts, our movements, and our memories. And there are 3 major parts of the brain, and we're going to talk about those next. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and it's divided into 2 halves, which are called hemispheres. Each hemisphere controls the opposite side of the brain. So for example, the left hemisphere actually controls the movements on your right side. There's a connection between both hemispheres that allows the brain to send messages back and forth. The left hemisphere generally controls speech, understanding, arithmetic, and writing, some of our logical approaches that we use. And the right side of our brain controls creativity and artistic and musical skills. The cerebrum has different areas, and those areas are called lobes. And each lobe controls specific things. It is really important to remember, though, that even though each lobe has its certain set of functions that it's in charge of, the entire brain works together, and the lobes have to work together as a team for the entire brain to function. The frontal part of our cerebrum is right behind our forehead. And when we plan and organize things, we're using our frontal lobe. Our behavior, emotions, our personality, all of those things are contained in this section of the brain, as well as our ability to express ourselves and make voluntary movements. The frontal lobes also control concentration and self-awareness. The parietal lobes help us process the sense of touch. They also help us to learn and interpret language and words. So when you have a great meal and you enjoy the taste, you enjoy the aroma, and you enjoy the texture of that yummy meal, that's your parietal lobe at work. The occipital lobes are in the back of our brain, and they process the images that we see through our eyes and help us to understand what we see. These lobes help us to interpret light, color, and movement. The temporal lobes help us make sense of the information that we hear and also help us to form memories, including those associated with music. The temporal lobe helps us to put things in the right order and to stay organized. There's also the next part of the brain, which is not quite as big as the cerebrum. It's called the cerebellum, and it's located right underneath the cerebrum. It's called the cerebellum because it comes from a Latin word meaning little brain. This is the area that controls balance for walking and standing. And the cerebellum also helps us understand the distance between 2 objects. The brainstem is the smallest part of the brain, but I'm going to tell you, it is the most mighty. It's connected to the spinal cord, and it's so important because it regulates critical body functions, such as our breathing and our heart rate. We don't have to think about taking the next breath, or we don't have to think about asking our heart to beat, and that's because the brainstem does it for us automatically. The brainstem also helps with balance, coordination, and our reflexes. In addition to these three parts of the brain also has some important parts that are known as the deep structures of the brain. That's because they're located deep inside the brain. And I have to tell you, they all seem to have some funny names. The hypothalamus plays a role in controlling hunger, thirst, sleep, and sexual response. The pituitary gland controls all of the other endocrine glands in our whole body. The pineal gland helps regulate our internal clock and our sleep and wake cycles. The thalamus also plays an important role, and it is the relay station for our brain. It helps us to sort out information and also allows us to experience pain, unfortunately, but also regulates sensation, our attention, our alertness, and memory. The basal ganglia work with the cerebellum to coordinate fine motor skills, like holding a pencil. And the limbic system is the center of our emotions, our learning, and memory. So I'm sure you can see that your beautiful brain is powerful. It's truly the mission control for our whole body. For more information about the Neuropsychiatric Research Center, please contact us at 239-939-7777, or you can also find us on the web at nprc-swfl. I'm Amy Schenk, and thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Your Beautiful Brain. Stay tuned for more Leap Hits Live.
Neuropsychiatric Research Center of Southwest Florida is a center of excellence that has been conducting clinical research studies for Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and memory loss for over 20 years. These studies play a major role in the development of new medications and treatments and may provide benefits to current participants as well as future generations. Qualified participants may receive access to study-related care and medication from our team of medical professionals at no cost, as well as compensation for time and travel. To learn more, call 239-309-2116.
Leap Hits Live is a Leap Hits Enterprise production.
Hello everybody, this is Lee. I'm so glad that you watched that particular show, and if you enjoyed that show, we got other shows like that. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch Leap Hits Live on demand anytime, and also hit us up on all our social media platforms. Just type in Leap Hits Live, and there you go.